So here we are. As I'm recording this, we are about 3 weeks out from the wedding, and I am starting this video now, other than earlier because it was a little stressful getting to this point. I am recording the finishing process and then the reveal of the quilts that is for my soon-to-be husband. And what I'm going to do in this video is document the finishing process and reveal of my soon-to-be husband's wedding gift. And so by the end of this video, he will be my husband, which seems wild to say, but I wanted to kind of introduce and document and finalize this all up here to remember it because it has been quite the undertaking. So since we started talking, we both found that we have a love for the show Parks and Recreation. And in that show, we see the progression of Leslie Knope through her professional and personal life kind of come and grow. And then in the middle of the seasons, her and Ben Wyatt, comes in as kind of the enemy, but then turns into her love interest in the show. They become engaged. And so in one of the episodes where they have an engagement party, Leslie Knope reveals this Unity quilt that she made. And what this quilt was to reflect the combining of the family. So everybody in this family, everyone in their two families each got their own quilt block that Leslie had made. They were like applique and kind of some embroidery on there. So it was kind of funny. Now, as a quilter, I wasn't so heavy into quilting when that episode first aired. But now with my fiance and how it has kind of come and progressed, I felt as soon as we got engaged, I was like, I have to do this. So enter our Unity quilt. So I have made, much like Leslie did, 16 different blocks for this quilt. And no, I don't have 16 different family members, but, well, I do, but to reflect this quilt, I narrowed it down to our immediate family members and a few other little things here and there, kind of some quirky little things that reflect our relationship and realize the wedding day coming. So what I did is I made 16 different foundation paper piece blocks. And just by saying that alone, that is why I did not document the process of making the blocks, because they would be a very long video just for those, even if I sped them up. So if you're unfamiliar with foundation paper piecing, what that is it takes a pattern and it prints it out in different kind of like puzzle pieces for you. And you then sew your fabric directly to the paper, and it helps kind of get those crisp, precise shapes and movements, and you're gonna see like different curves in some of my blocks and that kind of thing. And so I kind of fell in love with this a couple years ago when I made a good friend of mine a Lion King baby quilt, and then her second child a Winnie the Pooh one. And so I've kind of toyed with it here and there, but since I'm not an appliquer like Leslie Knope was, I have gone in a different direction. So I'm gonna show you all my blocks, and then from there we're gonna put the borders on them. So I'm gonna border each block, put the sashing in, and then borders after that, and then quilt it, bind it, and then it'll be done. So this is gonna be a lot of talking video versus showing video, but then at the end you're gonna get some wedding footage and pictures of the quilts revealed. So at least that's my plan now, and my hope that that's how the day goes 3 weeks from now. So fingers crossed, and let me show you some blocks. So this is the order that my blocks are gonna be in, from the top left corner, 4 in each row, 4 rows down, and then go from there. So this first block is to reflect my fiance's dad. He wrote a book, so we've got a little red book there. His mom was a reporter for a local newspaper, so she's got a yellow pencil. And I'm using all white on whites in my background, so all the white on whites are different. Some of them have some key elements to kind of reflect that person, and others are just fun. So this one is for my mom. Her birthday's in February, so she's got a purple paw print for a February birthstone. And if you look real close, she's got some sewing notions in there, because I couldn't do all sewing blocks, but I had to fit it in there somehow. And then this block here is for my dad. He was much the bike rider, and yellow was his color as assigned by his mom when he was little. And he was a French horn player, and we were all very involved in band because of my parents. And so he's got music notes in the background. And then this next one is my fiance's block as a golfer. So he got a little golf club with a little golf ball and a tee. On some green grunge. I used a lot of grunge in this, not as much as I thought I would, but I think you're gonna know who this next block is for, because we know who runs the show around here. So of course she had to have her own block. And then to reflect the celebration, I've got our wedding rings, so kind of one that looks like my engagement ring, and then his wedding band. We both got white gold, so I went with that, and so is silver. And then here is my block, a nice teal sewing machine. That's super cute. And I will link all the patterns in the description below as well, so then if you want to dive into paper piecing or are very familiar with paper piecing and want some of these patterns, I'll send you where to get them. This one is for my future sister-in-law. She is also a big Disney fan, and because her birthday is in October and she loves Halloween, we've got some spider webs in that Mickey head. And then this one's kind of a joke as far as whenever we're on our way somewhere, we tell each other that we're 16-ish away. So that's a little joke for our little text that we send each other all the time. We've got a set of cards. One of the first games that we played together was gin, and it now becomes our decider as to whoever wins the most 2 out of 3 gets to make the decision of different things. And so this one is for my older brother. If you remember my first quilt that was 26 and 21, I made him the entire quilt of this. So when I couldn't find something that was computer related for paper piecing, I took these blocks and kind of tweaked them, sized them down so they would fit the 12.5-inch block size, and then went from there. Plus that brings in some more green. This one is for my younger brother. He and my dad would do a lot of aquarium stuff, so a little goldfish in a bag, and he's got some music in the background there for being in band. And then he's also done some touring with different Christian rock groups and bluegrass groups and all sorts of fun stuff. And then speaking of music, my fiance and I were both band kids at some point, and then we also just really love live music and going to shows and comedy and stuff like that. So I felt like that was a good reflection of things we like to do together. And then the big day in our wedding colors, and these are actually some of the fabrics that I'm using to make a wedding quilt, which is going to be its own video, and 3 weeks out. I have not started that quilt yet. Don't tell anyone. And then my last block is for my sister and her family. So she, as a physics major, she is currently working on her PhD, and then her husband is a math major. So these little colored ones all have math fabric that I actually used to make them a Christmas quilt one year. And then if you look real close, we've got some kitty cats because my niece, much like the rest of us, love some kitties. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a 1.5-inch border on these, so then it'll sew down to 1 inch, so it'll frame each one up nicely. And it's going to be the grunge color sky. And then once I do my little borders, I'm then going to do my sashing, and once I do my little borders, my blocks, I'm going to do some sashing, which is the grunge navy. And then once that's all done, I'm gonna put my borders on the outside to make sure this is a nice good size. Get some minky for the back because I feel like that's what needs to happen. Quilt it all up, and then it'll be done after I bind it. So I'm kind of stuck on how I'm gonna quilt it, but obviously I need to get to that point first. So I'm gonna go cut up some fabric, and then I'll see you back on my sewing machine for putting some borders on. So right now I've got the rows. So as far as measurements go, these are 1.5 inch cuts. So then they'll sew down to 1 inch. These ones I cut at 3.5, so they sew down to 3 inch. So right now my strip is about 66 inches wide. And so I need to do my sashing in between, which is going to be 3.5 inch. And then I think I'm going to add my borders, which I think I'm going to do 5.5 inch. So it'll be 5 once the binding's on. So I think this is going to be about 76, almost 80 inches total. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to start piecing the sashing together to do my strips in between. So then those can go together next. Okay, so we're too big to fit on my design wall, but it's about 1 o'clock on October 1st, 1 p.m., not a.m., and everything is all on there. So all the borders are on there, all the blocks are in there, so now it's just time to pick out my backing, quilt it, bind it, and hide it. So I am super stoked with how this turned out, and can't wait to see it finished and revealed. So we are legit a week out from the wedding and it is go time. So Marty's off doing errands and doing stuff with his dad. So I'm taking advantage of it being me home here, knowing he's going to be occupied for a couple hours to at least get this quilted and then hide that away for when I can bind it later in the week. So I've got my backing, which is the Shannon 90 wide in Alloy. So a nice gray color. Not like you can see much of there. I've got my batting, which is a double because this measured to be like 76-ish. So I'm going to get the rest of this all loaded and then get going. So also I've got my light gray thread so it can kind of not stand out too aggressively on the dark blue, but not be too dark on my white. That was my concern. So let's do this. We are basted in and ready to go. I'm nervous because of how much effort went into these blocks and then quilting on top of them, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, right? Right? So I'm gonna do the cakewalk design because I think it's gonna be just enough of a meander to kind of keep everything situated, but not be overly aggressive and distract from the blocks. So cross your fingers, wish me luck, all the good vibes. Good vibes, only good vibes, right? Right? Hi, Tixie. So the first zone is done and I got real nervous because this block was the one that it stitched over first. And with all its tiny seams and its thickness, I was afraid like chaos was going to happen, so break a needle would break some thread or something. But it went quite smoothly, so everything's starting to look real good. I am pleased with it. This little seam popped open at some point, so that's an easy little fix. I'll just get some white thread and like whip stitch it. But we are ready to keep going, so here we go. So if I had the sound on that last zone, you may have heard me chanting at my bobbin estimator, don't run out, don't run out, don't run out, because I forgot to change my bobbin at that end because my estimator said I probably about 19 yards left, and by the end it said I had 0, but I probably had like 2 more yards on it or something. But we're gonna get ready, and I'm just gonna finish this up, and then I'll check back in when it's time to take it off the frame, square it up. So far, we're still good. He is still out running errands, and he had one little scare that he came back to look for something. So I threw some 3-yard quilts over this, shut the door, and tried to make it a little not obvious, but we're gonna keep going. Can't waste time while he's out of the house. So we made it, we're now at the bottom. I've already trimmed off the excess batting off of this side that's closest to us, that's out of frame right now, because it was wider than I needed it to be. My batting was 93 or something by 96 just to get the width and the length, and so I trimmed that off as I went. I'm gonna trim this bottom part off ahead of time because we all know Trixie likes to eat batting. So if I can get rid of that chunk, that it's just gonna be that side chunk over there that I have to deal with her with. And so I'm gonna get my cutting mat, and I'm just gonna take my rotary cutter and line up my 5-inch ruler with the edge of the bottom and my blocks, my sashing, I guess, and then trim that up. And then I can hide this until Tuesday, because that's probably what I'm gonna put binding on, because he'll be at work and I'll be here because I took the week before the wedding off. So, successful plan, here we go. So as of today, when I'm recording this, we are 1 month post-wedding. We are living it up as the married life here, and I'm excited that we are now posting this video today. Of course, here's the Trixie block. So I could not have imagined this quilt turning out any more perfect. It's exactly as I hoped it would, and it got the reaction that I hoped it would. So I'm so excited to have this on our couch now. I took the hanging sleeve that I put on, I just like basted it in there, I hand sewed it on. So I just took that off, so now it's a much more comfy, cozy quilt. We've got it laying on the couch right now, along with our heated blanket and all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm very excited for you to get the full reveal of this quilt and see some wedding pictures and the quilt reveal from the wedding day and a whole bunch of fun stuff. And then I think this wraps up all the wedding quilts. I only made 2, so 2 of 2, and here we are, and I'm so excited with how this turned out. So thanks for watching this video for a little bit of wedding nonsense, and we'll be back real soon for more quilty fun.